Well, it's time that I need to start thinking about planting some potatoes. It's April the 2nd today, and this is a greenhouse. It used to be my chicken house a long time ago, but we gave up chickens. It was just too much trouble. But anyway, as I was using my rototiller that I built, it's a home-built job. I've got a video on this somewhere. I think it's at the very first of the video sections, but it's called Home Built Rototiller or something like that. I dug up one potato that had stayed in here over winter. And these are some of the potatoes that I pulled up out of here last year to save as seed potatoes. And as you can see, I kept them inside a basement in a very cold room back there. Very cold, I mean in the winter time, that room would get down in the high 30s and low 40s. So it wasn't really a root cellar. It was just kind of a cold room in the house, and we closed the door and didn't put any heat in there. But as you can see, look at these. These are ready to plant. Look at the size of the sprouts on all those things. Now, I remember I just said I was going to tell you about a potato I dug up. Oh, there's one. And that one's not sprouting. It's still got dirt on it. But you can see the difference here between that and the others. This one here, if you can see underneath the dirt, it's nice and red, and it's, well, this is fairly firm. But I wish I took a video of it or a photo, because what I did was I was plowing it up here. As you can see, I've got this all tilled up. And I don't know, right about in here somewhere, a potato popped up, and it got nicked pretty bad by the rototiller. But anyway, I picked it up, and it looked as fresh as can be. So, looking that fresh, I thought, I wonder. Now, keep in mind that that potato had been in the ground here all winter long, and this is a greenhouse, but during the evenings, you know, it gets just as cold as inside as outside because there's no heat in here or anything, and it isn't that big. So I'm sure it got really cold. It froze in here many times. But anyway, the point is that potato, when I cut it up and cleaned it up first and cut it up, I noticed that it was just like a fresh potato that you'd pull off the produce rack. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that kind of surprised me that it would be that good. It didn't even have a hint of any sprouts on it. Just one little sprout looked like it was trying to go. But that tells me that maybe you can leave potatoes in the ground all winter long, I guess in a setup like this anyway, and just dig them up as you want to when you want some potatoes. Come out here, and you could maybe keep this setup here as kind of a sort of a root cellar, but without the cellar. In other words, just leave them in the ground and they'll keep just as good or better than a root cellar. I wonder if that's true. Anyway, thought I'd share that with you. I thought that was quite interesting. But for now, what we're going to do is plant all these potatoes. Now, none of these are, boy, look at that. None of these are really any good for eating anymore because they're just, I guess you could, maybe if you're really hungry. Because you can see they're all wrinkled and they're shrunk up, but they're still alive and viable. So what I'm going to do is plant them in these little furrows I dug here and just cover them up. And as you can see, I have some sprinkler pipes here, one there and one there. And that's connected to a system in the other greenhouse. And there's some on this side too. And that's the way I water things in here, is just let it sprinkle for about, a minute or two, a couple times a day, and it works pretty well. So right now I'll start putting these in, and it's very simple. I have so many of these that I was going to cut some of them up, but I don't know, maybe I don't need to. So I'll drop one of those in there, and then I'll just spread them out all along here like that. And if some are kind of big, maybe I'll cut them in half. But we'll spread them out and we'll get them planted. Okay, here's how many I've got in the furrows here that I've done. These are the potatoes that had some pretty good sprouts coming out of them. So you can see there's quite a few. There's 3 rows here. And so what I'm going to do, apparently I had plenty of potatoes. because I have more over here. And these are the ones that I thought, well, they don't have much of a sprout on them. That one's pretty good, but it's a little tiny potato. And that one's got some sprouts coming out of it. But anyway, these are good and viable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant all of these and disperse them throughout there somehow. And then I'll just bury them up, and we'll see what kind of a harvest we get in a few months. Well, I think that's enough. They're pretty well crowded. You're supposed to plant potatoes a little further apart than that. I think about a foot apart is probably about the way you should do it. But I've got some of these 3-4 inches apart. There's just so many of them. And I have more over here still. So these are either just barely sprouting or they're not sprouting yet. Well, most of them are sprouting. But as I pinch them here, these all feel pretty solid. So what I think I'll do is I'll take these in the house and we'll cook them up and eat them. The last of last year's harvest. Now to cover them up, you have to go easy here. Don't want to damage any of those roots, those sprouts we've got going. Let's see, I'll just do this one row first. Looks like some of them are going to have the sprouts just sticking out of the dirt because they're just too long here. There we go. Well, there's another potato from last year. This one got hacked up. This one got hacked up from the tiller. And I'll show you just a quick picture of that. See that there? This was the side it got hacked up on. But if you look at that, it feels solid. It's got nice color to it. I think we'll go ahead and eat that one too. Okay, well there we go. I'll water them down now, and then as they start growing in a couple of weeks or so, I'll start throwing some more dirt on top of this because they're planted pretty shallow, and I don't remember which kind of potatoes these are. There's some potatoes that, you know, you shouldn't really plant them shallow, that you should plant them pretty deep. But I don't know. But anyway, the point is I'll put some more dirt on top of this as they start growing. And these should do quite well because this is very good soil because remember I told you this used to be a chicken coop. So there were a lot of chickens in here doing what chickens do. And so this ground is still very, very good for growing things. Okay, let's start the pump up. It's right, that's the pump right there. No, that's the pump that goes over there. So let's pump it up. There we go. It looks like it's going. Now let's go in here and see how it's doing. Ah, there you go. See the sprinklers in action. We'll just let that run for a minute or so, and we'll water that other side too, of course. And I think on that other side, I'm going to plant some carrots. And you see, if you just let that run, I don't know, a minute or something like that, a couple times a day, it really waters these plants quite well. So let's go shut off the water and we'll let these start to grow.